Welcome to Animal Atlas. Come with us around the globe and explore the animal world and its jungle animals and desert creatures. We'll meet wildlife on the savannah and see our underwater friends. And animals from the Arctic Circle. Anywhere, everywhere animals live. It's always an adventure. Today on Animal Atlas, we're going to tackle adaptation. Sound thrilling? Well, it is. For it's only through adaptation that animals started out looking one way and ended up looking like something else entirely. Let's first meet the beluga whale, a veritable poster whale for physical adaptation. Where's this whale's dorsal fin? You know, that telltale fin on the backs of fish? And many whales, which cuts through the water's surface. The beluga doesn't have one. This whale lives far to the north, where it's very cold. And where, more often than not, this hardy white whale finds itself swimming under Arctic ice sheets. Quite frankly, a dorsal fin would get in the way. Or worse, scraped up or off. So, no dorsal fin. But that doesn't mean that only this individual beluga whale doesn't have one, and that this other beluga whale does. No, all beluga whales have adapted to have no dorsal fin. This is not something that they decided as individuals, no matter how intelligent they might be. But it's something that nature decided for them, in a manner of speaking. Physical adaptations don't develop during an animal's lifespan, but over many generations. And these changes to an animal's body almost always result as a response to one of three things. 1. Factors in the animal's habitat, which is where it lives. These factors include adapting to the climate, as in the case of our friend the beluga whale, whose response to living in frigid waters was to do away with its dorsal fin. 2. To make the animal better at finding food, whatever that food might be. And 3. To keep the animal safe from predators. A missing dorsal fin isn't the only way this marvelous whale adapted to its water environment. Look at this. The beluga has a blowhole on the top of its head. Now, a blowhole is not a water spout. It's more like a single nostril, which whales, and all other cetaceans too, use to breathe oxygen. Just like warm-blooded terrestrial mammals, whales and dolphins breathe oxygen through lungs and don't extract it from the water with gills, like fish. Fish don't need to go to the surface to breathe. But whales and dolphins sure do. Why doesn't the dolphin breathe through its nose? Because it doesn't have one. Neither does the beluga whale. What looks like a nose is actually called a rostrum, which is otherwise known as the dolphin's or whale's mouth. But no nostrils, see? And in case you were wondering, cetaceans don't have a sense of smell in their blowhole. But what they do have is the ability to breathe at the surface of the water without sticking their heads up. Of course, the whale family's physical adaptations go way beyond the blowhole. Flukes, those twin fin-like projections at the end of the animal's tail, have replaced what were once hind limbs, while adaptation has turned forelimbs into flippers. In fact, the bones in the dolphin's flippers are very similar to the bones inside our arms and hands. Yes, dolphins and whales started out with 4 limbs, just like a number of other animals you can name. And so they remain. But instead of 2 arms and 2 legs, or 4 legs, Through physical adaptation, these astonishing creatures can claim 2 flippers and a pair of flukes. But wait, that's not all. Another amazing physical adaptation that's characteristic of just the beluga whale is its flexible, well-defined neck. Unlike most other cetaceans, the beluga's 7 neck vertebrae are not fused and stiff, in the way that the dolphin's neck seems stiff, but are remarkably mobile and expressive. What's the reason for this adaptation? Many scientists believe that it's to allow these whales to pop their heads up out of holes in the ice and look around, without actually turning their bodies. A physical adaptation for a frigid habitat? You bet. These aren't the beluga's only concessions to the cold. Their short, rounded, and wide flippers, their stout bodies, their layer of blubber under the skin, all serve to make this creature right at home in a perpetual underwater winter wonderland. In water where our teeth would be chattering from the cold, the beluga is clearly in its element. When we come back to Animal Atlas, we'll meet some more animals with amazing physical adaptations. But first, let's see if you can guess this animal fact. Which part of the polar bear shows an adaptation? A. Head. B. Body. C. Feet. Or D. All of the above. The answer coming up when we return to Animal Atlas. We're back. Did you guess the right answer to our question? Which part of the polar bear shows an adaptation? The answer is D, all of the above. Did you think that the beluga whale was the only creature with astonishing physical adaptations? Not at all. The polar bear, the beluga whale's neighbor in the very northern coastal environs, is also a living miracle of adaptation to the cold and the wet. A number of scientists believe that the great white polar bear is what resulted when big brown bears ventured as far north as it was possible to go, most likely in search of food. Sure, brown bears, with their thick coats, are well equipped to handle the cold and the wet. But the polar bear goes one step, or one dive, further. Let's compare these 2 bears so we might get a better understanding of how they physically differ, to learn what physical adaptations the polar bear has to help it survive in a land of freezing temperatures and frigid waters. Notice how the polar bear's neck is longer and how its head is more wedge-shaped than the brown bear's short neck and block-shaped head. This long neck and water-slicing head shape are adaptations for swimming, as is this long body. But longer doesn't necessarily mean leaner. To withstand the cold, the polar bear has a 4-inch layer of blubber, or fat, under its skin, which keeps it warm when it's swimming in the cold water. Did we say blubber? Yes, indeed. That's also our beluga whale's answer to the cold, isn't it? The polar bear also has wider feet than the brown bear, which helps the polar bear walk in the snow. And its rough foot pads, surrounded by insulating fur, keep it from slipping on the ice. And yes, there's partial webbing between those lovely forepaws. Brown bears can lay claim to quite a lot, but not to that. Now, no one will argue that the brown bears enjoy water, but clearly, no bear is as much at home in the water as the polar bear. And to that end, these ursine swimmers have a nictitating membrane, which is a special second eyelid that is as clear as a pair of goggles and protects the polar bear's eyes while it swims and peers around underwater. But the physical adaptations don't stop there. Notice how the polar bear's ears are smaller than the brown bear's? Or any bear's ears, for that matter. This is an adaptation for preserving body heat. So is the polar bear's shorter, stubbier tail. Of course, the most obvious difference between these two bears is their coloring. The brown bear is called a brown bear for good reason. But polar bears? They're the great white bears, right? Well, it depends on how the light hits their coat. Sometimes they look white, and sometimes they look yellow. But these bears are actually colorless. No, I'm not making this up. It's true that the polar bear does have warm, woolly fur next to its skin. But its guard hairs, those hairs that are sticking up for us to see, are hollow. They absorb warm sunlight and direct it straight to the bear's skin. Solar-powered and raring to go. Not to be outdone, the penguin is also well-equipped to cope with cooler temperatures and a watery world, though this bird is a resident of the opposite pole. For starters, the penguin also has a layer of blubber for insulation. But unlike the beluga whale and the polar bear, it has shiny, waterproof feathers that help keep its skin dry. Penguins also have more feathers than most other birds, nearly 70 feathers per square inch, which makes for a nice, tight, compact feather coat. And for the water life, the penguin has flipper-like wings for swimming, and webbed feet too. So, who has the best physical adaptations for survival in a wet, cold weather environment? Will it be the whale without the dorsal fin and with the mobile neck? The bear with the torpedo-shaped body and hollow fur? Or the bird with the flipper wings and the waterproof feather coat? That's right, they're all winners, because that's what physical adaptation is all about, being best equipped to survive wherever you live. When we come back to Animal Atlas, we'll meet some more animals with astonishing adaptations. But first, let's see if you can guess this next animal fact. Webbed feet are a physical adaptation for A. Swimming, B. Walking on soft ground, C. Catching fish, or D. Both A and B. Don't go away. The answer coming up right after this on Animal Atlas. We're back. Did you guess the right answer to our question? Webbed feet are a physical adaptation for? The answer is D. Both A and B. Webbed feet are good for swimming, as we've seen with the polar bear and the penguin, and as we can clearly see with the duck. And the swan, too. And webbed feet are just dandy for walking on soft surfaces. The flamingo's webbed feet keep it from sinking into the sand as it walks along in the shallow water near the shore where it lives. A lot of water dwellers, or near the water dwellers, have webbed feet. Just take a look at the river otter, the sea otter, and the bush dog, too. But webbed feet aren't the only kind of feet that keep an animal from sinking. The camel has broad, flat feet, for a very good reason. As their feet touch the ground, the foot pads spread, keeping the camel from sinking into the sand. Furthermore, these incredible spreading foot pads are thick and calloused to protect the camel from rough or hot terrain. But it's not just feet that make this animal a winner in the physical adaptation contest. The camel, who isn't called the ship of the desert for nothing, is just as suited to its habitat as the beluga whale and the polar bear are to theirs. For one thing, not all camels live where it's hot year-round. The Bactrian camel, which is the two-humped camel, lives in the desert all right, but in the harsh Gobi Desert in China and southern Mongolia, where it gets as hot as Arizona in the summer and as cold as Alaska in the winter. So in the winter, The Bactrian camel grows a double-layered coat that consists of a dense inner layer and a long, woolly outer layer. So if you happen upon a shaggy camel, it's just between its winter and summer coats. But in terms of astonishing adaptations, we're just getting started. Remember that clear second eyelid that the polar bear has to help protect its eyes when it's swimming? The camel has one too, only to protect its eyes from sandstorms. Yes, indeed. Swirling desert sand is a big problem for the camel where it lives, which is why it has bushy eyebrows and double rows of extra long eyelashes. Camels can also close their noses to keep sand out, in the same way that the hippo and the otter, too, can close their nostrils to keep the water out. This is a face adapted for desert life. No sand will penetrate those long lashes. Why do camels have calluses on their knees? To protect them when they kneel on hot, rough, or sandy terrain. Nature seems to have thought of everything where the camel is concerned, but there's one more thing, that hump. One hump if we're looking at a dromedary camel, or two humps if we're looking at the Bactrian camel. How do we remember which is which? Easy. Turn a capital D for dromedary on its side, and you have one hump. Turn a capital B for Bactrian on its side, and you have two humps. Just don't try turning any camel on its side. It won't be amused. Hey, what is a hump exactly? It's not just decoration, that's for sure. Camel humps are reservoirs of fat, and they act as an energy source when food is scarce. There's a myth that camels store water in their humps, like a water-filled canteen. But this isn't true. There's nutritious fat in those humps. However, if the camel gets dehydrated because water is scarce, the hump fat breaks down to allow the great ship of the desert to survive without water for up to 2 weeks. And without food for nearly a month. Want to talk about startling physical adaptations to combat a hostile environment? Look no further than the camel. Other animals may not have as many adaptations, but their adaptations are nonetheless dramatic. Take the chameleon with the 360-degree eyesight. Not only does this extraordinary vision help the chameleon hunt its prey, it helps keep it from becoming prey too. Not much gets past these eagle eyes. Camouflage can also be a physical adaptation. Just ask the leafy sea dragon, who looks like drifting kelp leaves. Or the stick insect, whose body is more stick-like than the average twig. Physical adaptation can also be something so obvious that we don't even notice it. Why does the elephant have a trunk? Why does the giraffe have such a long neck? Why do horses have necks that are close to the length of their legs? The answer is the same for all three: to reach the food. Elephants are the biggest land animals alive today, and they have gigantic, heavy heads. To support that heavy head, they have thick, short, muscular necks. But, uh-oh, what they want to eat is often on the ground, and there is no way that they're going to get their teeth down to the grass. The solution? A trunk. An elongated upper lip and nose combination with an astonishing 40,000 muscles to help it move. With a trunk, eating grass is easy, as is filling up for a drink of water. A physical adaptation to write home about, that's for sure. And the giraffe? It eats leaves on the tops of trees. So a long neck is absolutely essential. And the members of the horse family? They need a neck that allows them to, well, mow the grass. Hence, a neck that's the right length for the job. So you see, physical adaptation is far more exciting than you ever imagined. It's the manifestation of the wisdom of nature in fur, feet, feathers, and a million other wonderful adaptations. For more fun animal facts and news, visit our website at animalatlas.tv.
The internet, you say?
See you there. Don't go away. Animal Atlas will be right back. Until next time on Animal Atlas.
There's a lot of tension in your lower back. You should really try yoga.
Boy, do I need a manicure.
And I need a haircut.
Here we are at the Extreme Penguin Games, and Gentu's about to try a double Lutz McTwist, and here he goes. Oh, he just missed the dismount. The crowd does not like that.
Oh, cleanliness is next to dogliness.
Should we shave our mustaches?
No, we're good.
The runner, for some reason, is caught up. He's got a towel over his head. Oh, he's free, and he's safe.
I just flew in from Detroit. Boy, are my wings tired, huh? Tip your waitress.
Once again, we've traveled the globe from North and South America to Africa and Asia to Australia and every fascinating place in between. We've met all kinds of incredible animals and learned some important facts about their ability to survive and flourish on our planet. And with our help, we'll make sure they're around for a long time to come. Join us next week for another amazing adventure on Animal Atlas.